won't always offer you a piece of gum, but when I do, it's because you need it.
It really is like
if you want to give us a second, that's what I'm saying. You gotta cut it.
Alright.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We gonna see. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Do you have a medical insurance card for anything?
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
There we go.
Ooh. I'm trying to press up a little bit. Pressure off of it. No, what you say? You my medical card? Yep. It might or might not be in here. I don't know.
Oh my goodness, look at that foot.
Screwing that Jordan. There we go.
Oh, let me see it.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Yeah. Since I got this question, what do you just want to...
Can we not cut it all out? I don't want little man to see me like this.
Where's little man? Hey,
how is he not locked out?
Can you take him over there a little bit until we get a splint on it? We're going to put a splint on it.
Okay.
Oh my god,
You won't be able to see in a
splint.
minute.
That needs surgery.
My girlfriend had it.
Hurry up so I can see the whole. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. See, are you feeling my shit?
I would have passed out.
Damn.
That poor old lady. Oh my goodness. What? He is really dragging her out. Yeah, but don't you need to put your name on the back of the ticket? I don't know about that one, you guys.
Bookcase that just looks like I said exactly to Connor that it's got to be a secret door. And lo and behold, Connor found a button and it is a secret door into...
Wait a minute. So they're they're just in somebody else's house that they rented for the weekend or whatever, and they're just snooping around and they're deciding to go into a secret door. I don't think so. I think you should not go there.
A whole creepy ass basement.
And look at it. No.
See how old that carpet is, but
Should we go down?
No.
God.
Look how tiny that door is. I don't think so.
don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Connor.
These people.
Okay, we have a...
What if there was bodies in there? This person is going to be so mad.
That's why there's so many heaters down here.
What?
Keep locked.
Why other? This can't be real.
What the hell is that?
Oh, yuck.
What was that?
What?
Was that something out of my nose?
Oh, right. So that, ladies and gentlemen, that was a tonsil stone. And I cringed not because it's disgusting seeing something come out of someone's mouth. I'm very used to that. I've seen some horrible things. But I'm cringing because you won't know what that smells like unless you're a dentist or you're someone who gets tonsil stones regularly. And it's just highly mineralized tissue that gets stuck in the tonsils or the salivary glands. But yeah, it builds up over a long time and it absolutely stinks. So I think it's kind of funny that this guy is known for fragrance, but his breath might stink a little bit if he's not getting rid of those tonsil stones regularly.
Ants? What's that sound?
I've never heard nothing like it.
Dig it up. I would start digging. What is it?
Hey! Someone there? thought he was being robbed after hearing the glass on his back door shatter. But when he goes downstairs to check it out, instead of finding a person, he finds this. He had just moved into the house, and when he had purchased it, that wall was still up.
What the fuck?
Curiosity being what it is, he goes in to check it out. But he quickly learns why this part of his basement had been completely walled off. After falling into what appears to be an office building, he figures out he can't climb back up the way he came, so he does the only thing he can.
Panic?
For the record.
I did not know this was here.
He starts exploring his awesome new
That's the
basement.
only thing
However,
he
that
could
curiosity is becoming a full-on panic. And he doesn't appear to be alone down there.
Oh my god.
Eventually, he starts hearing what sounds like radio chatter. Thinking it might be other people that can help him, he runs to where they are. Of all the things that could have been down in this place, help was not one of them.
Shocking footage shows dying patients lined up inside corridors in an NHS hospital. Tearful nurses talked about being powerless as patients spent hours slowly dying on a trolley in a busy corridor and finding a dead patient under a pile of coats. Demoralized medics report caring for as many as 40 patients in a single corridor, unable to access oxygen, cardiac monitors, and vital suction equipment to clear blocked airways. The Royal College of Nursing has released a report detailing how corridor care has become normalized year-round. The General Secretary of RCN told how in previous years such escalation spaces would be temporary for maybe 48 hours, but it has now become permanent. She said, "I have no doubt this is costing lives. These pressures are not unprecedented, but the way we have got all these areas open is something that we have never seen." 9 out of 10 nurses surveyed by the RCN said patient safety is being compromised. One told of elderly patients cared for in very inhumane and third world conditions. Health Secretary Wes Streeting has previously said that he would never gloss over problems in the health service. He will not pretend that everything is going well when it is not, and the experience of patients this winter is unacceptable.
Anything having to do with SWs will forever freak me out. The person who submitted the story is so terrified that she does not want me to use her real name. So for the sake of the story, let's call her Danielle. When Danielle was about 14 years old, she lived in this home with her mom that was surrounded by woods. They had about 78 acres of land all around them. Danielle used to absolutely love the outdoors, so she would spend countless hours out in the woods, climbing trees, exploring, just living in nature. Her mom's only rule was that Danielle could not stay out once it started to get dark out. Like, it would be like the sun going down a little bit, her mom would be calling her frantically to come back home. This really annoyed Danielle because she really enjoyed just being outside. Like, she was one of those kids that just enjoyed nature. One day her mom was going away for the night to go visit some friends. Danielle didn't want to go with her, so her mom agreed to let her stay in the house by herself. At around 3 p.m. her mom left for the night and Danielle went off and explored in the woods. Once it started to get dark out, Danielle felt excited knowing that she didn't have to come right home, that she could actually stay out there as long as she wanted to. So she went deeper and deeper into the woods. At about 7:30 p.m. the sun is almost completely down when she starts to feel like she's being watched. All around her, she feels eyes like watching her from above, like the tree branches on top of her. She then starts to feel this gut-wrenching feeling that she tries to shrug off when out of nowhere she hears her mom's voice calling her. She figures that maybe her mom came back home, so she yells back that she was in the woods, but she was on her way back home. As she's making her way back towards her house, she hears a bunch of tree like branches behind her, like cracking as if someone is walking on top of them. Once she makes it home, she of course realizes that her mom is not there. She calls her mom, and her mom actually confirms that she has not been home since she left earlier that day. That was enough for Danielle. She decided to go in the house and slam the door. But before she slammed the door, she happened to look out into the woods and she caught a glimpse of this like black figure just like lingering out like towards the woods, like at her. She once again tries to shake it off, so she goes on with her night. It's about 7:50 p.m. at this point. She throws a TV dinner into the microwave. She turns the TV on and she tries to just kind of forget about the experience, but she can't shake off the feeling that she is still being watched. This feeling continues on until the morning. Now, Danielle did have like cameras outside like her house. When she woke up in the morning, she had a notification on her phone letting her know that they caught some type of activity on the cameras. When she went to look at the cameras, she couldn't see anything, but she could hear what sounded like tapping and like scratching noises at her front door. She goes to the front door and opens it, and in her screen door, her metal screen door, she had very thick gashes in it, like something scratching it, trying to make its way into her house. Now this is getting a little bit long, so I'm gonna have to do.
I don't believe that part. I just don't believe it. I mean, seeing something, yes, but the gashes, so what, you didn't hear that? And she said it was very thick metal. You didn't hear that at night? I mean, it's quiet at night.
Part 2, which will be up right after this one. This is probably the scariest Ouija board story time that I have ever come across. For obvious reasons, this person thus wants to remain anonymous, so for the sake of the story, let's call her Lucy. A few years ago, Lucy was living in Los Angeles. Her parents had just bought this brand new house. Soon after they moved into the home, they started to hear rumors of 5 teens who had played with the Ouija board and had mysteriously gone missing. Not long after they moved into this house, Lucy's parents went away for the weekend, leaving Lucy home alone until like Monday. Lucy decided to invite 5 of her friends to come over and play with the Ouija board because, I mean, why not? What could possibly go wrong? But they didn't want to play with just any Ouija board. They wanted to play with that specific Ouija board that the 5 teens who had gone missing had played with. Around town, they had heard rumors that that specific Ouija board had been buried in a house where no one ever went to anymore. So they decided to go to that specific house and dig in the backyard, and they actually came across the Ouija board. Even though the Ouija board was very worn down and faded, they were still able to use it.
How did they come across it? Hold up. How did they come across it? So they searched the entire perimeter of the house. They dug everywhere, and then finally they found it and decided, like, how long did that take? She's lying. This is fake.
Since she was home alone, they set up the whole scenario. They lit up candles, they sat around it, and they started. At first, they were a bit skeptic because nothing was really happening. They decided to ask the board, is anyone there? And nothing happened. Just when they were about to just kind of give up on the planchette moved to yes. They were thrilled, but like scared at the same time, decided to continue asking the board questions. They asked the board what their name was, and the board answered with the name Annie. Annie went ahead and let them know that she had actually died in the same home where Lucy was now living at. They asked her how she died, and Annie answered, fire. Once she started to talk to them, the air around them became extremely cold, and they could sense like the atmosphere had shifted. Feeling the weight of the room starting to weigh down on her, the candles that they had lit up started to flicker. Then they heard a loud bang on the wall. One of the friends ended up looking to the side, and they saw the silhouette of a woman standing there staring right at them. This really scared them, so they decided to say goodbye to the board so they can close out the session. But the minute they say goodbye, the board or the planchette started to move, saying the word no, 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 like it did not want to end the session. They then started to hear whispers like surrounding them throughout the whole room, saying the words help or help me over and over again. Realizing that they had awakened something that they wanted absolutely nothing to do with, one of the friends grabbed a glass of water and poured it like over the board and started to yell, leave us alone. The whispers that they were hearing then turned into screams, and the planchette literally flew against the wall. This literally made the whole room erupt in complete chaos, and everybody got up and started running for their lives. The minute they left that room, the air felt completely light, and whatever presence was weighing down on them had disappeared. They decided to never speak of that night ever again, but the experience that happened that night haunted them, like till this day. Every single person that was in that room till this day still feels like Annie continues to watch them and stay like near them, still waiting for them to help her. A lot of them still claim to still hear faint cries in the middle of the night. They believe that they have opened something that they had absolutely no business opening, and till this day it remains open. Lucy's parents eventually ended up moving completely out of that state, but till this day, like, Lucy will still have nightmares about her experience.
I feel like this thing is wearing me down.
Uh-oh.
If that makes any sense. Hey girls, guys, everybody. I wanted to come and talk to you guys for a minute about these videos that's been going on. There's some of them that I had to take down, and there's some that got where you're not allowed to see it unless you're 18 or over. So I'm trying to post things that are not so scary.
Explicit?
But what do you do when it's happening to you? Okay? I have had TV companies reach out. They wanted to come and communicate with these things.
What?
See what they want, but I'm scared that that's going to stir it up even worse. This mirror I have not taken down yet because I'm afraid that when they do come and pray and bless and try to get this out, that they ain't going to have a way to go back out. Because everyone is telling me, everybody and their granny has got to do with this one and that one. They're straight across from each other. I can remove this one. The other two I cannot because they are made and built into the cabinet/wall, and they are directly in front of each other. Also, my big tub in there has mirrors all the way around it so they can see each other as well. So, and I'm a single mama. I don't know how to tear a wall down and redo it or whatever. It's just me. If you guys have any ideas on what I can do to these mirrors, please let me know. I do, however, have a graveyard out back here, but it's all babies. It's all babies. And if you guys want me to tell you about that, I'll have to do that in another video or whatever. But I don't think it's coming from that. I also have videos where birds, I just woke up to birds surrounding me and the kids screaming. So it's getting to the point where also we had to leave the house the other night. I was on live. Y'all probably seen that. I did go ahead and leave because things started getting a little physical, touching, whatever. And so like things like getting thrown or whatever.
What?
I'm trying to be careful with what I say on here now because of all the things that's been going on with the videos. But if you want to see something that's really happening, you have to show it, or people are going to think you're crazy, which a lot of people probably do think I'm crazy by now. But I just want it to go away. I just want it to stop. I've got to work. I've got things to do.
You need to move.
And my mind is just so, like, we even have nightmares, okay? We woke up with scratches down our back and our legs. If that explains anything to you, to the extent of what is going on here.
That does explain.
So, I need to find someone that is a true, by the blood Christian that could come in here, help me bless, pray, get this out. Once it's out, I can remove this so it can't come back in. And the others, I've got to figure out something. I'm kind of, like, it's just me, y'all. It's just me. And then when I sent all the things to, like, that TV show, they want to come and communicate with it. Put out boxes, speak to it, this, that, and the third.
So the internet is all in a tizzy over this ghost tube app. And as a professional psychic medium that also uses apps in order to communicate with spirits and has been doing it for a very long time, I want to talk to you about all the hype and how essentially it is false. Here are my reasons that make...
I mean, how can you do this and not be scared, like 24/7? How is this possible?
Make me extremely skeptical about this app. Number one, people that put their time and energy into communicating with spirits do not give a darn about if there is a creepy, worried, or whisper voice. When you go through and you communicate with spirits, you are the tunnel, you are the channel, and the best way to communicate with spirits is by you connecting and having no fear or anxiety. By inducing this means that it's not, well, an actual app to communicate with spirits. The second thing that makes me super sus is the fact that you can pay more money to upgrade for a different voice. It's not about the voice. Spirits do not give a darn about what their voice sounds like. Yes, they will sometimes bring it through, even if it is staticky, but this shouldn't matter in an actual legit ghost communication app. The third thing that makes me go, this is a little off, is the fact that you add words to the dictionary. You see, in actual spirit apps, what they do is they go in and they change the frequency and then they turn it either into words or sound. Honestly, they can manipulate any sound. They can manipulate your car radio being on static. They can manipulate if you're going, ooh, and you're recording it, they can take that and manipulate that into words. You should not have to add your own words. This means that there is a computer inside that is randomly generating this. Other thing I don't like, and I don't think you'll be able to see it on here, is it says 750 words loaded. Why are we having to load words for a spirit? If you're on a legit app, by the way, this is my favorite right now. If you're on a legit app, they come through. There are no words on it. There's no letters. There's no symbols. There's no nothing. Whatever they put on here, like this morning, I've had a man with me. It shows up and it says man. Also, I'm not giving any shade on this creator. I think she's great. I think she's in it to obviously make things scary. Is she interested in spirit communication? Absolutely. But as far as like the validity and the consistency and the actual like realness of this app communicating with ghosts and spirits, absolutely not. And I'm sorry to burst everybody's bubble that has made all sorts of content. All of it is all clipped up. And do you want to know why? Because they can. It's easy to make things scary for clicks. Also, I don't like the fact that the #1 word that shows up is the D word that is in the library. Like, why do we have to make things so scary? Spirits are not scary. You are a spirit in a body. So use it at your own delight. It is not very real. I would have to say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the realist and 1 being the most fake, I would probably give it a 3 because there is some validity to some things, but most of it is just for clickbait. It's just to get money and it's just to make you afraid. And that is not real spirit communication. You are the channel. You are the connection.
I am not going to be the channel or the connection.
Box that has creepy voices on it. Anyways.
I got an email from a guy named Thomas who said he loves spooky scary
nobody
story
can
time,
hear you.
and he wanted to share his own paranormal experience that happened 43 years ago. Thomas is 62, okay? And there's no demons in this story, but I think it's one of my favorites so far. In the spring of 1981, Thomas was 19 years old, and he was a private in the Canadian military. Before leaving the service, he wanted to backpack through Great Britain and France. The night before he leaves, he's talking to his coworker, Perry, and Perry asks him if he wants to know how his trip will go because Perry's supposedly a psychic. And Thomas isn't really into that stuff, but he is open to new experiences, and he's a little nervous to be traveling all over by himself. So he's like, sure, man, like, tell me how it's going to go. So Perry invites Thomas into his room for a few drinks, and he goes into a trance. And in his trance, he tells Thomas that he's going to have a good time, not a great time, which Thomas said ended up being true. He tells Thomas a few other things that he can't quite recall. And before coming out of his trance, he also tells Thomas that he's going to meet a woman with brown hair on a train in Switzerland who's going to ask Thomas to go with her. But if he goes with her, he will never return to Canada alive. When Perry comes out of the trance, Thomas tells him that he actually has no plans to go to Switzerland. He's just going to the British Isles and France. And Perry says, I am never wrong. Trust me, if you go with that woman, you're going to... So the next morning, he's off. Their plane leaves from CFB Trenton onto Ottawa, where they pick up some senior officers, and then they're on their way to London. While they're in the air over the Atlantic Ocean, they come over the PA system in the plane and informs the passengers that they're actually going to be bypassing London and going on to their base in Baden, West Germany. So Thomas is immediately put out because now he's going to Europe when he planned to go into the British Isles. And this is in a time before the internet, and they just had like outdated books and magazines. He says this wasn't that uncommon though, because things just happen in the military. So they're off to Europe, and he decides this is what he's doing now. So he gets off and he makes stops in Amsterdam, Copenhagen, Sweden, and Munich. 3 weeks go by and he finds himself pretty low on money because he didn't expect to backpack Europe. That's just what he's doing now. So he's in Austria and he figures he's going to make one more stop in Paris, France, because he wanted to go to France all along anyway. He gets on the train in Austria to head to Paris, and the train crosses into Switzerland. He's standing in the foyer watching the landscape roll by. He says if you've ever seen the movie The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp, that's exactly what the train scene looked like. So he's standing there watching the landscape, stretching his legs, when this woman with dark hair approaches him, and she's got thick black glasses. He said that she looked like one of the characters in Scooby-Doo in the 70s. She starts asking him, how are you doing? And just making light conversation, but they end up talking for a while. And Thomas is also intoxicated because he's been drinking a lot this trip. And he's got a feeling her, and she goes, why don't you just get off at the next stop with me, and we'll just spend some time together for a few days. The next stop is in Geneva, Switzerland. So Thomas is like, yeah, whatever, like what's a few more days? And he agrees. So they get off the train, they're on the platform, and the train is boarding other passengers. Instead of walking down the platform, the woman starts pacing up and down the platform, like looking for somebody. And he's like, what are we doing? Like, why aren't we heading off? And she's like, I'm just waiting for my brother. He's like, what do you mean your brother? Like, I thought we were going to hang. And she's like, just chill out, just wait. And she's like still frantically pacing up and down the platform. And he's like, you know what? I don't think I like this. Like, I'm just going to hop back on the train, maybe next time. And she's like, don't you move. And he's just looking at her like, if you don't talk to me that way. And then he remembers what Perry said, and he says he almost fainted. So luckily the train was still there. He hops back on and he's looking out the window at her. She sees a guy approach her and then they start arguing in German. And then they're walking up and down looking for him. The guy is like obviously super angry. He's yelling at her and then they finally walk off and the train leaves. While Thomas is sitting there, he has about 6 drinks to calm his nerves and he decides basically, screw Paris, I'm not going, and he decides to head back to West Germany. Then a few days later, he's back in Canada. First thing he does is call his mom, and then he goes to visit Perry, where he tells him everything. While Thomas is telling Perry this story, Perry's just staring at him calmly, and he says, dude, I told you I'm never wrong. Thomas ended his email by saying that even though he's 62 now, this experience was one of the most bizarre and paranormal things that has ever happened to him, and he still thinks about it often, how quickly his life could have been ended. Thomas said there was a little more to the story, but he just gave me the cliff notes. But to top it all off, after his discharge, he had to leave the base relatively quickly, and he eventually just forgot about some of the things that he had left until the late 1990s when he was at a thrift store near his old apartment in Toronto. And in the thrift store was his backpack that he had taken with him on that trip. He said seeing it felt like an old friend, and he picked it up and put it on, but decided to leave it at the thrift store to hopefully bring some good luck to more travelers. He said even though the story was strange, he swears it's 100% true, and he thinks that everyone should always keep an open mind to the paranormal. Thomas, thanks for sharing your story. Everybody else, send me your stories. DM me or send them to the email in my bio.
What in the world? Time to put Granny away now.
Now, according to the CIA, we reincarnate over and over and over again, and that is weird and goes against most of what we were taught as kids. Now, if you look at ancient texts, books they took out of the Bible, or even reading the Bible with the right frame of mind, reincarnation is clearly what happens. There's not really much arguing it. In fact, if you don't live in America, it might be a very common belief. 2 billion people in this world firmly believe in reincarnation. That's about a quarter. You know, Buddhists, Taoists, Hindus, some versions of Christianity, and many other religions all practice and believe this at their core. It is only a weird fringe science belief if you're in the Western world. Now, you guys should know me by now. I'm going to get extremely lit, remove all of my filters, and then talk about this from the heart. Now, This is something I firmly believe in. My dad's friend went to Europe. You know, they went to Europe, and this dude knew the layout of a castle. They get there, and he goes, yo, I have a funny feeling. I've been here before. I lived here. And my dad's like, dude, you grew up in the same neighborhood as me. What the hell are you talking about? And this dude goes, no, I know this place. And proceeded to tour them around. We're going to pass 3 rooms, and then there's going to be stairs down to a dungeon or a cellar or something. You know, they all went to this place for the very first time together. Tripped the dude out. He didn't believe in that kind of stuff before, but he definitely did after. He always called me an old soul. A lot of people called me that, but I think I was just smart for my age. And it's only weird if you don't look into the topic further. A lot of people have been through this. This lady was born and started telling her parents she wanted to go home. She's from Egypt. You know, she believed this since a little kid. And they went to Egypt, and she started telling archaeologists where to dig. And one of them actually did it. One of them actually dug where she said to. And they started finding exactly what she said. You know, different little trinkets and stuff like that. It was nothing big, but that's crazy. She said, I used to live here. My stuff is buried right here. And they found it. She made significant contributions. That is crazy. You know, I used to believe in none of this stuff until my business mentor at the time said, try the gateway tapes. They did a lot of good for me. And I tried the gateway tapes. And these are, you know, sanctioned by the CIA. They were obsessed with this stuff. It plays frequencies in your ears that heavily manipulate your brainwaves. It's supposed to give you an out-of-body experience. And for a while, I didn't get one. And then, boom, I got slapped in the face with knowledge. I got absolutely donkey slapped in the face by knowledge. I just talked to one of my old friends and told him about Gateway, and I had to warn him, like, you know, keep yourself based in reality, because if anything can make you go crazy, it would be something like Gateway. I went in there and things started talking to me like balls of energy. You know, it's an out of body experience. That's what people experience in this kind of thing. It's all the same. And they started telling me I had lived tons of lives before. They even showed me some of them, which sent me for a mind trip. But they told me how the world works, all these things, and it just made sense. And I don't know how else to word it. I came out of that feeling like I was crazy for what I saw, but what I heard made total sense. In fact, they told me that I was done. I had already figured out what I needed to figure out on the earth, and I had opened my spot up for a new soul to join. They word it like there's just souls in the universe waiting for
I don't know, that's
body.
a little bit scary.
It's like a fun experience. It's like a playground. And I was like, hey, you know, this is not fun. And they said, what if you knew everything that was going to happen all the time? Would you enjoy your life truly? And I was thinking, no, of course not. And then they said further, you know, you go through these pains and struggles and happinesses. It's a roller coaster of emotion, of physical sensation. That's what it's supposed to be. You're going to come out and you're going to want to go back in. You're going to sit there and go, that was absolutely crazy. Let's do it again. But they told me I had already done it tons of times and I'd figured out what I needed to figure out, and I hadn't been here in a long time. And they told me also that they don't experience time in that way, but they spoke to me in a way that I understood it. Now, they told me I'm coming back with a group. Like, it sounds crazy, but just hear me out. It said I'm coming back with a group. I am meant, you know, my purpose is to share this knowledge that they just taught me with everybody else around me, and that all of these people would just have these urges to make themselves known in what they're doing. So a basic recap of it is it slapped me in the face with information. It told me things that would happen to me that did, in order of how it said they would happen over the course of a few months, which, you know, I didn't believe it until that happened. And like I said, it slapped me in the face with knowledge that for some reason just made a lot of sense, and it still does. I don't even plan half these videos when I talk about this stuff. I just start talking. You know, all that info just comes from within, and doing the Gateway tapes, like, opened a new part of my brain. It feels different. I can't word it well. And you can do the Gateway tapes too. They're all over YouTube and Spotify. You gotta look around a little bit, plug some headphones in, find a nice comfy area, and start listening. Now, the only part that didn't sit right with me for some reason, and I'll explain why in a second, was it saying I came here with a group to help, and that we all had our own purposes, and we would all start to understand this around the same time period, and make ourselves known at the same time. Not like we had to work together, we're just all doing the same kind of thing at the same time. It wouldn't tell me what that higher purpose was. I asked, it said I literally cannot know because I would ruin it. I would talk about it and I would ruin it. Something along those lines, and that is odd. You know, that never sat super great with me. I'm okay with it. You know, I would love to do good in the world in any way I can, but that was weird. Now, it basically explained to me that we're souls, you know, that live in a spiritual body. We can't really touch or feel things in the same way that we can in a physical body. And we came here to be in physical bodies and to learn things, to advance ourselves. Said there's no way to actually do wrong. Everything is an opportunity for growth. And any of those that you know, hurt, basically, for lack of a better word, in your lifetime will have higher successes in their next because of what you did. You know, it's a give and a take. If you give a ton, you're going to have a really good one where other people will give to you in your next life. If you take a ton, you will have a shitty time until you start to learn what's really important. You know, money's not really important at the end of the day. A lot of things aren't. It's just about helping other people and, you know, being good. And it basically told me that there's always souls coming and going. As soon as one finishes all of the lessons that they came here to learn, they leave and they open up a spot for a new soul. It said, you know, there's souls on their 1000th incarnation, and there's souls on their first all around you. And it then said because I had finished mine and had a chance to come back, I was really, really lucky, and, you know, they chose me for a good reason, and I would do what I needed to do. I've always wanted to help people since I was a little kid. You know, just help. Like, I'm going to open a soup kitchen when I have enough money to do that and not be completely broke. But I've always been more attracted to being a good person, you know, even when people aren't looking. That's always been important to me. I'm also autistic, and autistic people are known for having a very strict sense of justice. You know, in a lot of areas, I'll feel bad about doing something that I don't think others would because they wouldn't even see it as a bad thing. So I think that might just be the way my brain's wired. Now, if you want to learn about this kind of stuff, you can always do past life regression hypnosis. I know a lady who does it, and she's going to do it for me next week. I am pretty excited about it. I've been really afraid of openly giving my mind up to somebody, but I have a good feeling about it. Looks like Kendrick did that and then just wrote that song Reincarnated, which is one of the deeper songs I've heard in the last 5 years. I think that's a top Kendrick song right there. I mean, he talks about living hundreds of lives, but he really talks about 3, all being musicians and the different mistakes he made and how now he actually wants to do it the right way and bring harmony to the world. Now, when I was in Gateway as well, it explained that, you know, all of us are like a mirror that's broken, forever fragmented, but all a living piece of the mirror. We're all the same thing that's been split and will forever stay split. So weird way to think about it, but think of like one big being that just split into a ton of small ones. That was kind of how it explained it. I didn't really think too deep into this song. I just thought it was like a really beautiful artistic story. I mean, he frames himself as the devil, like, you know, changing up and becoming good. It's a gnarly song. But he talks to God and it says, you know, every individual is a version of you. And I was like, oh, whoa, like that's like what I heard in Gateway. Tripped me out a little bit. I mean, if you think about it, we're just like containers for a soul. The Bible, they call bodies vessels, I think, for a reason. Now, something to add on top of that is Bob Lazar. He worked at Area 51 like 40 years ago, leaked all this information on UFOs, and just recently most of it proved to be accurate. He said a lot of things that we just recently heard about from that congressional hearing. Now, one thing he said that is unverified, you know, there's no factual basis behind this, nobody's verified it, but he has a history of being right. He said aliens look at us as containers, and that scares a lot of people for some reason, but it's just containers for us, you know, like a vessel, a body. You know, you're not your body, you're what makes you, I guess. Some people call that your brain. I don't think personality comes from the brain. But anyways, I love you guys, and thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.